Much in this postseason. We go back to Game 5, first round against Milwaukee. Pacers down 20. Halliburton comes all the way back. That's the game-winning layup with a second remaining. Game 2 against the Cavaliers in round 2. Pacers down 7 with less than a minute to go. The step-back 3 wins the game. Another improbable win comes in the conference finale against the Knicks. Who could ever forget this shot? Pacers down 17 in the fourth. That shot by Halliburton sent it to overtime. Pacers came all the way back, and the Knicks never recovered. Then last night, Halliburton doing it again. Pacers down 15. Again, they bring it all the way back. Halliburton gave them their only lead of the night with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. And so where do we stand now? The Thunder entered this series minus 700 favorites. That has now been cut more than in half. The Pacers were 5-1. They're now plus 260. We have ourselves a finals. Here we go. Jay Will and the Morris twins show us exactly how Hallie did what he did on that miraculous final play.
So I'm going to call this game over. Okay, because I mean that's what he's doing essentially, right, boys? I mean he's creating game over moments. And as we show the film here, I want you to recognize 7.8 seconds left on the clock as we go down the end of regulation. So that as the play is going, the first thing to recognize is just Anthony Edwards talked about this, right? 15 players on a string. Just look defensively. It's like a puppet master. Everybody's attention to detail on the ball, pretty much down in the stance. They're getting ready to clamp down for the last play. And as the play continues to develop, you're going to see right here, Casey Wallace makes a little bit of a challenge here. He keeps him on the side. He plays parallel. And when you play parallel, because you don't want him to use a screen, this is when the vision starts to come in. Tyrese Halliburton is looking at this area right here. He's reading Alex Caruso. What are you going to do, Alex Caruso? You're going to come help? If you come help, I got to kick to Pascal Siakam. If you don't, because Pascal Siakam's going to the corner, I might have a gap to attack. So Alex Caruso in this moment, he's going to stunt. He's going to, I'm going to jump at you to try to make you read and react to allow Casey Wallace to recover, and then he's going to try to get back. Pascal Siakam recognizes that. He's going to hit him with a backdoor cut. Lou Dort, opposite side. Lou Dort all the way over here. How good this team is defensively. Comes from the opposite side here to get back into play, right? But this is what I want you to pay attention to. Hallie sees all this.
The thing with the Pacers, they always on a string. He understood that Caruso might actually jump the play, so he cut to kind of get him out of, to kind of keep him in the middle. And I mean, as we've been seeing, Halliburton put it away again.
And watch the Rays right here. I mean, the toughness of the Rays. Halliburton is a catch and shoot player, guys. And if he's going right, he's getting to the rack. Usually it's a pace dribble when the ball's in your left hand because you can pick it up and bring it into the off-court shot. The fact that he made a right-hand pull-up jumper with Alex Caruso in his space, with Casey Wallace in his pocket, it's one of the biggest and most clutch shots that we've seen in the playoffs.
Now, you are always great at that. That's one of my favorite takes in the Hall of Fame for a reason. Pointing out that the Thunder don't have a foul to give in that moment is also critical. They have to be careful not to foul Halliburton on the play. Casey Wallace, who's doing the defending, you were talking about swiping at the arm. You put him on the line now, and all of a sudden you've given up the lead. There's so many things. Dort cutting across. All that was fascinating. And to do it all without a timeout. They were just ready for that situation. Is that great coaching? Is that great veteran leadership? What are we seeing there?
That's unbelievable coaching, but it was a timeout right before OKC got their last shot. And that had to be discussed in the timeout. Yes. They miss, we go. We don't call timeout. But also, with OKC being that great of defensive team, why would I call timeout if I'm a veteran coach? Because now they get down, they be able to set their defense. You might put Lou Dort on Holly and might make the shot harder. So it was a great job of him calling that and just say, go play, just go play, because not only that Halliburton was open, if he would have skipped it across to one of the hottest players in the game, he was wide open for a 3-2. So they would have made a shot. It was either way, I think.
To be clear, what you saw there a moment ago was Rick Carlisle making a challenge with 22 seconds left. That's what Markieff is talking about. That's the moment where they had that conversation. He definitively did not call a timeout on the last possession after the offense or after the rebound.
To his point, Lou Dort was on Obi Toppin.
Yes.
Right?
Because Toppin had made 5-3.
That's why you don't call a timeout.
Because they would have. That's not the matchup that OKC would have wanted.
He's the best defender
in that situation.
You want him on the ball.
Yes.
Dort is the best defender. And so I put the odds up there a moment ago. So now we got the Pacers, who stole game 1 against the Knicks, and as I've continuously said, they never looked back. They took control of that series and they never gave it up. The Thunder are still a pretty significant favorite. I mean, if you look at that, and minus 325 is still, if you don't speak gambling, that's still a pretty heavy favorite. But it's a far cry from what they were going into that game. Where do we stand in this series right now, Marcus?
Well, Greeny, I haven't played in the league in a year, so I actually can bet on this game.
Okay, no, don't do that. Don't get me in trouble.
Get your money. Get your money.
Hey, listen.
Adam, if you're watching, I'm not. He's just kidding around.
Hey, me and Keith had this conversation before the series started, and I said, why are they counting Indiana out like this?
You did.
Like, that is a large spread for a veteran team that's really well coached. I know that OKC has been running through these playoffs. They've been looking really good. In that first game and have some momentum and see what you can get going back to Indiana?
That's the thing, though. We talked about this before. That's why I thought it was imperative for OKC to win the game. First off, they had 7 days off, right, to get ready for the matchup. But then this follows the momentum that we've been seeing from Indiana the whole time. They momentum. This is who they are. This is why they believe they can win the series.
Yep, and they beat Milwaukee. That was maybe considered a toss-up before the series began in the absence of Lillard. They were a definitive underdog against Cleveland. They were an underdog against the Knicks, and they are the biggest possible underdog here. But OKC lost game 1 against Denver. We'll remember Denver had the quick turnaround and then beat them in game 1, and then OKC was able to regain control. But it took them 7 games to win that series.
I'm just saying, Denver, granted, nobody's the Joker, okay? So I'll say that. Right. But also the personnel that they're playing against with Indiana is drastically different than Denver. Everybody on Indiana can shoot the 3.
Okay.
And that's a vulnerability for OKC.
Well, we have much more to come on this game. But there was another thing that you might have missed yesterday, a potentially
Kevin Durant into the Mecca, into the Garden. What is that not only going to do for the NBA and the fans, but the New York Knicks were a couple games away from being in the finals. So this takes them over the top. And then, like I said, having a talent, having a Hall of Famer like Kevin Durant, his leadership, adding to those younger guys, his ability to be able to get a bucket at any time. And the roof is going to be off the charts in the Garden if you see Kevin Durant out there.
Marcus, let's do some math. New York Knicks plus Kevin Durant equals what?
Equals finals. Equals finals. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the East, right? We're not going to take nothing away from Indiana. They're hurt right now. So if you add in Kevin Durant to a New York team with all the pieces that they have, obviously they'll have to come off a few, and that'll be interesting to see who they actually come off of. But the key thing is We know KD gonna sit out 10, 15 games. Like, they still have a team that can win without him being there. What we've seen in Phoenix this year is when Kevin Durant sat, the team was significantly worse, right? Like, that was the glaring part. And now you get to play in New York in the Garden. I played in the Garden for a half a season. The best place, it's the best place to play. And I don't know if Kevin Durant noticed, but I'm gonna tell you this, you will really enjoy it, brother. It's a great organization, great fan base. New York is popping, and I think he will fit perfectly, seamlessly.
This reminds me so much of July in 2019, being a part of that thing with the boardroom and KD when he went to Brooklyn. The thought around KD going to Madison Square Garden was legitimate. Rich Kleiman, who is his manager and runs 35 Ventures and Company, is a diehard New York Knicks fan. And the reality is the pieces just didn't seem to be there for New York at that time. And the thought of what it could have been with Kyrie Irving, the situation seems so much more stable now with leadership and the pieces that they have, that the timing right now in 2025 feels like the most elite timing for the Knicks to go over the hump and win a world championship.
So suddenly,
just being honest,
we've got an unbelievable finish in game 1 of the finals, and we have both Giannis and Kevin Durant very likely in play in the next 2 weeks. Don't miss a moment. Meanwhile, as we continue, is Aaron Rodgers really the Steelers' solution? Is he even an actual upgrade in Pittsburgh? And what happens if this falls apart completely? What a morning.